Well, here in chapter 14 of the book of Leviticus, we're going to learn more about dealing with leprosy and what to do to cleanse from leprosy and how they go about doing this. So really fascinating. Watch the previous chapter's video to learn more about leprosy and diagnosing of it. Now we're dealing with cleansing of leprosy and helping people with this. So let's jump in and get started here. Verse 1, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, and that's important. Verse 1 is important. It's been almost the same type, same verbiage. Either the Lord spoke to Moses, or the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. Okay, this is thus saith the Lord type stuff, basically, meaning here's the revelation that they were given. This is not unlike what we learn in Doctrine and Covenants when Joseph Smith gets his revelations. So very similar. So understand that, okay? And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this is a revelation. Verse 2, this shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest. The priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look. And behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take for him, that is to be cleansed, 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. So this is important to look at, okay? This is how do you deal with going through the purification rites of dealing with someone who has been healed of leprosy. Having leprosy wasn't a death sentence. Sometimes it was, but sometimes it was not. Okay, and realize that a lot of times this concept of leprosy, there is a specific medical condition known as leprosy, but there's also other skin-related conditions that would be similar, but without understanding the difference between viruses and bacteria and other things like that, they wouldn't know the difference with the kind of medical technology that they had at the time. So it all gets lumped into leprosy, and we learn a bit more about some of those distinctions in the last chapter, so you can watch that one as well. But there's a ton of symbolism in this, so pay attention to the symbolism, okay? Now, scarlet in verse 4, that means scarlet dyed cloth. So that was a piece of like woolen cloth that was dyed red. That's what that means. Hyssop is actually in the Bible dictionary. You can look that up, by the way. Hyssop is an herb, kind of an herbal thing. So maybe there was like an herbal cleansing or something that dealt with that, and that's probably why that was there. Verse 6, as for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. So you have this bird that water's running over him, you kill that bird, basically, then you dip all the other items in the blood of that bird. So there's an atonement, sacrifice of blood. And he shall sprinkle upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose into the open field. So this is in a way almost a special ordinance for this situation, basically. So the living bird is let go, even though some blood from the dead bird has been sprinkled on it. The person who's a leper will have the dead bird's blood sprinkled on him 7 times. Remember, go back a couple chapters, we learned about the importance of the word 7, the letter number 7, and how that relates to Scripture. So look back a couple chapters for that, as well as this is an atonement being made. Someone is paying the price. The atonement covers your sickness and can heal you from sickness. So a good symbol to understand that the atonement isn't just spiritual problems it helps with, but physical problems as well. Jesus knows exactly what it's like to be sick with every type of sickness, pain, and suffering, physical, mental, all of it. And he can help us with perfect empathy, which is awesome. So just remember that. There's always someone who knows what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. You are never, ever, ever alone. Jesus Christ knows exactly what you feel like. In any challenge, any problem you have, he has been there. He has experienced that, and he can help you. How wonderful that is to know we are never alone in any challenges we have. Okay, verse 8, he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes and shave off all his hair and wash himself in water that he may be clean, After that he shall come into the camp and shall tarry abroad out of his tent 7 days. But it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave all his hair off his head and his beard and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shall shave off, and he shall wash his clothes, he shall wash his flesh in water, and he shall be clean. So he's to go, he can be back in the group, but he can't go home yet, and so he goes through these rituals of shaving and washing a couple times. Verse 10, on the 8th day he shall take 2 he-lambs without blemish, 1 ewe-lamb for the first year without blemish, and 3/10 deals of fine flour for a meal offering, mingled with oil of 1 log of oil, and 1 log of oil, And the priest that maketh him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean, and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle, the congregation. And the priest shall take 1 he-lamb and offer him for a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. If you understand what these offerings meant, like how they went about doing this, you got to go back a few chapters to learn, because we've already covered that of what an offering meant and how were each of these offerings done. So watch those videos. Verse 13, and he shall slay the lamb in the place where he shall kill the sin offering and the burnt offering in the holy place. For as the sin offering is the priest's, so is the trespass offering. It is most holy. Remember, those are the ones, the sin offering and the burnt offering, that the priest got a little bit of that animal. And the priest shall take, this is verse 14, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle of the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hand shall the priest put upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, and the blood of the trespass offering. So he's getting oil and blood, anointing. Verse 18, the remnant of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall pour upon the head of him that is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord. Verse 19, the priest shall offer the sin offering and make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanness, and afterward he shall kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meat offering upon the altar, and the priest shall make an atonement for him, and he shall be clean. So this is what you have to go through to be clean. If you've been healed of leprosy, or maybe they misdiagnosed you, they thought you were leper, so they kicked you out, but you got better, so now you are coming back in. Verse 21, if he be poor and cannot get so much, then he shall take 1 lamb for a trespass offering to be waved, to make an atonement for him, and 1/10 dill of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get. And the one shall be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. I really, really like this. This is so important because we see this in a lot of these offerings. They say, here's the main way to do the offering, but if you can't afford that, then here's another way to do it. This is an important point, that the gospel is accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter how much money you make, the gospel is accessible to you. If you can't afford to do this, then you can do this. So wonderful that God makes sure that everyone has equal access and opportunities to worship, to fulfill what he wants us to do. I love that. That is such an important point that I hope you get from all these chapters of understanding this, realizing that this isn't cheap. You have to have these animals. And if you don't raise them, you have to buy them or trade for them. And that means giving value for value. And if you don't have much value, you might not be able to get them. And so the Lord has accommodated that in his ordinances, because it's more important that you fulfill the ordinance than that you fulfill it the exact way it's said. Now, I need to qualify that too, to say that he accommodates another way to get it done without having to be so expensive. That is awesome. God loves us and he wants us to follow him, and he makes it accessible for us so that we can accomplish what he has asked us to do. That is so beautiful. So beautiful. All right, let's see. 23, and he shall bring them on the 8th day for his cleansing unto the priest, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering, the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, put it on the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, upon his thumb, thumb of his right hand, upon the great toe of his right foot, so right side. And the priest shall pour of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. Again, go back and look at the previous videos when we learn about these different offerings to understand more of these deeper significance. Verse 28, and the priest shall put of the oil that is in his hand upon the tip of the right ear. Oh, I think I just read that. Let's see. Verse 29, the rest of the oil. No, I didn't read that actually. So put the oil upon him. The rest of the oil is in the priest's hand, put upon the head. That is to be cleansed, to make an atonement for him before the Lord. Verse 30, he shall offer the one of the turtle doves or of the young pigeons, such as he can get, even such as he is able to get, the one for sin offering, the other for burnt offering, with the meat offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed before the Lord. This is the law of him whom is the plague of leprosy, whose hand is not able to get that which pertaineth to his cleansing. So again, God has adapted his gospel to make it accommodative for us to come from where we're at and work up to where he wants us to be. Verse 33, and the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, so this is another revelation that's been added here, when ye come into the land of Canaan, which I give you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession. He that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seemeth to me there is, as it were, a plague in the house. So this is when they get permanent residence in the house, not in your tents, in the house, basically. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priests go into it to see the plague, and all that is in the house be not made unclean, and afterward the priest shall go in to see the house. And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which inside are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. Now here's something that's important to look at. How can a house have a plague? That might be an interesting thought to think of. What you need to consider, though, is they're looking for signs of problems in the house that will contribute to sickness of the people, like mold and mildew. So now we're looking at, the house has a plague. What it means is there's mold, there's mildew, there's an environment that is going to make it easy for the people that live there to be sick. So then once you get everything out of the house, and then the priest can come check the house. So again, the priests are the medical professionals. They're the doctors, basically. They're doing more than just officiating as priests. They are the doctors for the children of Israel. Really interesting, huh? Okay, so let's see. Verse 38, the priest shall go out of the house of the door, shut the house up 7 days. The priest shall come again the 7th day, and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is. They shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off, or be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place. So this is dealing with sanitation, dealing with, okay, we got to clean this house out so that it's not causing disease and problems. Verse 42, they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take them other mortar and plaster the house. So this is not unlike in a disaster situation where you've got to clean up the wet and gross stuff so that you can have a better environment. Verse 43, if the plague come again and break out in the house after that he hath taken away the stones, and after he hath scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Moreover, he that goeth into the house all the while that it is shut up shall be unclean until the even. So if you go into the house, you're unclean for the rest of the day, basically. So important to look at. So if you can't get rid of it, if you can't clean the house up and get rid of it, get rid of the mold, get rid of the mildew and other things, then the house has got to go. It's too rampant. It's got to go. You got to demolish it down. Not uncommon to what similar things we do these days. Let's see. If the priest shall come in and look upon it, behold, the plague hath not spread in the house. Oh, he that lieth in the house shall wash his clothes. He that eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. So basically, if it's bad, you need to wash your clothes. You need to sanitize so that you're not communicating things from the house to yourself. You need to clean up yourself as well. So there's hygiene with this also. If the priest shall come in, look upon it, behold, the plague hath not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. He shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, cedar wood, and scarlet and hyssop. He shall kill the one of the birds with an earthen vessel over running water. He shall take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the scarlet and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. So this is giving an offering, realizing that the atonement is there to deal again with our sicknesses and infirmities, and the atonement will cover and cleanse us. So really cool, the symbolism that we have in here. Verse 53, but he shall let go the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law for all manner of plague of leprosy and scall, and for the leprosy of a garment and of a house, and for a rising, for a scab, for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean, when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy. How amazing this is that God is giving them very good instructions that will dramatically increase their hygiene, increase their chances of staying healthy, decrease communicable diseases, and teach them about the gospel at the same time. I think that is so cool that they're using sicknesses and problems and conditions to be able to teach the people how everyday life can be affected by the atonement. This honestly is not unlike the provident living classes that we have today. Some people think they're, you go to the class to learn to get a job, go to class to learn about emotional resilience. I don't need any of that. I'm okay. But you have to realize that the whole point of those classes is to teach you how to apply the gospel in everyday life. So I would recommend taking those classes because they're really good classes. I've done several of them. But realize that the gospel isn't something that's done separate from the rest of our life. The gospel is a way of doing everything in life. So if you have any thoughts or comments on that, please leave them in the comments. We'd love to read them and learn from you as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next chapter.